Okay, so you've sent us a ton of info on this RoleCatcher thing, right? And you want to know, like, if it actually lives up to all the hype.
Yeah, it's
And honestly, I get it. It seems like everyone and their mom
yeah,
is talking about AI and job hunting these days.
it's unavoidable.
It really is. So let's dive into all this stuff you've sent us. Articles, resources. Let's see what this RoleCatcher platform is all about.
Yeah, so you know what's really interesting to me about this role catcher thing?
What's that?
It's not just another job board.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you've got, indeed, you've got LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
This is tackling a really specific and honestly kind of anxiety-inducing part of the whole job search process.
Okay.
Like, how do you actually get your resume seen by an actual human being,
Yeah.
especially with all these AI gatekeepers that companies are using these days?
Oh, you mean those applicant tracking systems?
Exactly.
The ATS, everyone's always whispering about them. Like, they're this secret code you need to crack.
Yeah. And what I think is cool is RoleCatcher is like, we're going to try and demystify that process for you.
Yep.
Like, for example, they have this whole CV and resume analysis tool,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually scores your resume against the specific job description that you're going for.
Really?
So instead of just like throwing things at the wall and being like, oh, I hope I'm using the right keywords, it actually shows you what those algorithms are picking up on
Wow.
or not.
That's kind of genius.
Yeah.
It's like having a peek behind the curtain, to see what's actually going on. I can see how that would be so valuable,
Especially.
especially when you hear about these applications just getting lost in the void.
Absolutely.
But what about interview prep?
Oh.
Because that's a whole other beast.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's like a
Yeah.
whole other layer. And RoleCatcher, it seems like they've got you covered there too.
Okay.
They have this database of like, get this, over 120,000 practice interview questions.
What?
But it's not just the volume. It's how they're using AI to give you feedback.
What do you mean?
Like, imagine getting pointers on your body language, like during a mock interview.
Oh,
Like, oh, you need to make more eye contact.
interesting.
Or like, you need to project your voice more.
Okay.
That's the kind of detailed feedback they're going for.
No way. That's wild.
Right.
It's like having a personal coach just like dissecting your every move,
Yeah,
which I can see being helpful, but also terrifying.
I know it's a lot,
It's a lot, especially for someone who's already a little nervous in interviews.
right?
But it makes me think, like, with all this AI integration, is it just about like tech skills?
It's a good question.
What if you're like, you know what? I'm so over this whole industry, this whole career path. I want to do something totally different.
Yeah, that's where it gets even more interesting. They have this feature called Career Compass,
Okay.
and it's specifically designed to help you figure out what kind of job actually aligns with your skills and interests. Think of it like a career exploration tool, but instead of just being like some generic personality quiz, it's drawing on this massive database.
So it's more data driven.
Way more. Like, we're talking over 3,000 career guides, 9 million global employers. It's a lot of data points.
Okay, so it's not just about landing any job, it's about finding the right job.
Exactly.
That's a huge distinction. But how do they make all that data like digestible for someone who's like, I don't even know where to begin?
Right.
Say you're feeling stuck, you're a marketing assistant, and you're like, I don't even know what other fields my skills might translate to.
You literally just described how I was feeling like a few years ago.
Really?
And that's honestly where I think this whole career compass thing really shines. You plug in your skills, your experience, and it spits out this list of potential career paths.
Okay.
And honestly, you might not even have thought of some of these.
Interesting.
They break it down for you,
Yeah.
like typical responsibilities, salary expectations, even like pros and cons of each field.
So it's pretty comprehensive.
It seems to be.
Okay, so it's like having a personal career counselor in your back pocket
We're
That-
one.
without the awkward small talk.
Exactly.
I like it. But let's be real. Finding a new career path is one thing.
Yeah.
Actually getting hired, that's a whole other battle.
Right. That's the hard part.
So how does RoleCatcher, like, bridge that gap for you?
Well, it seems like they kind of take this like multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
So first of all, they have their own built-in job board, which is, handy.
Convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they've gone a step further with this browser plugin.
Oh.
It's called RoleCatcher. Capture.
Catchy.
I know, right?
Okay.
And basically it lets you save jobs from like any job board you're on.
Oh, wow.
Like if you're on Indeed, if you're scrolling through LinkedIn, you can save them, and then it manages them all within the RoleCatcher platform.
Hold on. So no more 20 tabs open, frantically writing notes down.
Right.
That's genius.
It's organization.
I've been there. It's a mess.
Oh, tell me about it.
But this is starting to sound almost too good to be true.
What's the catch?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
How much is all of this going to cost me?
Exactly.
Well, they do offer both free and paid subscriptions.
Okay.
So the free plan gives you access to a decent chunk of their features.
Okay.
Basic CV analysis, they've got their job board, a limited number of those practice interview questions.
So you can get like a feel for the platform without spending any money.
Exactly.
Which is always nice.
Always good.
But for the paid version,
Mm-hmm.
what are we talking about? What are the perks of like going premium?
That's where their Copilot AI comes into play.
Okay.
And this seems like a pretty significant upgrade. AI that actually helps you tailor your application materials.
Like what? Like my resume and cover letter?
All of it. Resume, cover letter, even those annoying application questions.
No!
Yeah.
So it's not just tell me what skills to highlight. It's like helping me write about them in a way that will actually resonate.
That's the idea. With those AI filters and like an actual human being who's reading it on the other end.
It's supposed to do both.
That's next level.
And remember that interview practice feature we were talking about?
Yeah.
With Copilot AI, you're getting in-depth analysis of your answers.
Oh, wow.
It compares it to your prepared notes.
Uh-huh.
Offers you really specific suggestions based on the specific job that you're applying for.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. This whole Copilot AI thing sounds like it takes it to a whole other level.
Okay.
But before we get too carried away with all the bells and whistles,
Yeah.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about AI and recruitment in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because as helpful as it can be, I feel like there are also some valid concerns, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't just like pretend there are no downsides to this stuff.
Right.
I think one of the biggest concerns with using AI in hiring is that it could actually make existing biases even worse.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? Because these algorithms are learning from huge data sets.
Right.
Like tons of data from past hiring decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So if a company has like a history of favoring, let's just say, men for leadership roles,
Yeah.
the AI might accidentally pick up on that pattern
Oh, wow.
and then perpetuate those biases in the future.
Even if they're totally unfair.
Exactly.
So it's not enough to just assume the AI is being like objective just because it's based on data.
Right. We have to
Yeah.
be really critical of where that data is actually coming from in the first place.
Okay.
And constantly looking for ways to make these systems more fair, more equitable.
And is that something that RoleCatcher addresses at all?
I think so.
Yeah.
In a way, at least.
Okay.
Because by like pulling back the curtain and showing you how these algorithms work,
Yeah.
they're at least giving people the knowledge to try and adapt their applications
Yeah.
and hopefully make things a little bit more even.
So it's like, if you know the rules of the game,
Right.
even if they're not perfect rules, you at least have a fighting chance.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. Right.
Mhm.
And speaking of trying to navigate the system,
Yeah.
another concern that comes up a lot is this idea of people gaming the algorithms.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Stuffing your application with keywords
exactly.
just to get past the AI.
To get past that initial screening.
Totally. I've been tempted to do that.
We've all been there.
But it feels kind of icky. Like
Yeah.
you're not really demonstrating your skills. You're just trying to trick the system.
You're playing the game.
Yeah. Does RoleCatcher address that at all?
They do. They actually seem really upfront about discouraging that kind of keyword stuffing.
Interesting.
Like their whole philosophy seems to be more about helping you understand what those algorithms are really looking for,
Okay.
which ultimately should be a genuine reflection of what you can do, right?
Yes.
Your skills and your experience.
Exactly.
They actually even emphasize using natural language
Oh, okay.
and tailoring your applications to each specific job
Okay.
rather than just like throwing a bunch of jargon at the wall.
Okay. So it's a more sustainable approach.
Exactly.
It's like you're building a career, not just trying to win at this AI game.
I like that.
But it's a lot to weigh.
Yeah.
All these pros and cons. So for someone who's listening right now,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out, is RoleCatcher right for me?
Good question.
What are some of the things that they should be thinking about?
I think it boils down to a few key things.
Okay.
First, you got to figure out what your biggest pain points actually are in your job search right now.
That's fair.
Like, what's the thing that's making you want to pull your hair out?
Yeah.
Is it that you can't even get your resume noticed?
Mm.
Are you terrified of interviews?
It's always the worst.
Or maybe you just have no clue what kind of job you even want in the first place.
I've been there.
Once you know what those specific areas are where you're feeling stuck,
Yeah.
you can kind of see, okay, do RoleCatcher's tools actually address those issues?
So it's about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And the other thing is, and this is important, like, how comfortable are you with technology in general?
That's a good point.
Because if you're somebody who loves trying new apps,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh, AI, this is so cool,
Yeah,
RoleCatcher is probably going to feel pretty natural.
totally.
But if you're someone who's like, you know what? I'm good with my spreadsheet and my notebook.
Old school.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
There's no pressure to go all in on AI.
I love that you're acknowledging both sides.
Yeah.
Because technology is great,
Right.
but it's not the be-all and end-all.
It's not a magic bullet.
Exactly,
Don't mess with
unfortunately. Okay, so we've got identify your pain points, figure out how comfy you are with tech. What else?
Well, I mean, practicality dictates. We have to talk about your budget a little bit.
Mm.
Because they've got the free version, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you can totally test it out, see if you like it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're thinking about the premium Copilot AI, you're going to want to weigh those costs versus, like, what are the potential benefits for me right here, right now?
Yeah, it's like any investment. It's about figuring out, is this going to pay off for me at this point in time?
Exactly.
Okay, so from your perspective, having dived into all this research, what are some of like the most compelling arguments for using something like RoleCatcher in the job market today?
You know, I think even with all the potential downsides that we've talked about,
Yeah.
there's something to be said for how RoleCatcher is really trying to level the playing field a little bit
Mm-hmm.
in a job market that just feels increasingly more and more competitive.
Oh, yeah. It's brutal out there.
Oh, yeah. And kind of overwhelming.
Totally. And especially now with the rise of remote work,
Oh, my gosh, yes.
you're not just competing with people in your city.
Right. You're competing with everybody.
It's a whole different ball game.
It's the global marketplace, baby.
It is.
But I think, you know, while there will always be people who try to game the system,
Right.
the real power, something like RoleCatcher, is how it encourages job seekers to be more strategic,
Okay.
more intentional about their search.
So instead of just like blindly sending out applications
Yeah.
and hoping for the best,
Crossing your fingers and hoping something sticks,
Right.
you're taking a more targeted approach.
which is ultimately going to yield better results.
It should, right.
Okay.
That's the hope.
So it's about understanding how to showcase your unique skills and experience in a way that resonates
And that's the key.
with both the algorithms
Yes.
and like the humans who are ultimately making the decisions.
It's that sweet spot you got to hit.
That's such a good point. Because at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you want to get hired for you,
Of course.
for all the amazing things that you bring to the table, not just because you figured out how to check all the boxes.
Yeah, you don't want to just be like a robot.
Exactly. It's about your human brilliance.
Yes. Shining through all the tech.
Exactly.
I love that.
And speaking of that human element,
Yeah,
you had mentioned that RoleCatcher also has some networking capabilities,
they do.
which is interesting because
Mhm.
in a world that's so dominated by online applications, it's easy to forget how important that human connection still is.
They do. It's like they're trying to take all the headaches out of networking.
Oh, God.
Like they have this whole feature for centralizing all your contacts.
Whoa.
You can import them from different sources. You can categorize them.
Okay.
You can even link them to specific jobs that you're applying for.
So no more like digging through my email being like, okay, when did I meet this person?
Exactly.
I'll try to remember. Wait, was that the conference in Austin or was that the one in Chicago?
You're speaking my language.
Oh, it's the worst.
We've all been there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all about working smarter, not harder, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about having them all in one place. It's like you were saying, you
No.
can actually keep track of your interactions with them,
That's key.
which is so helpful because networking is not just like, I've got your business card, see you later.
Exactly.
It's about actually building that relationship over time.
It's a long game.
It really is. And speaking of building skills for the long game,
Mhm.
we've been talking a lot about AI and how it's changing job hunting. But even if you land your dream job using like RoleCatcher or any other tool,
Right.
the workplace itself is changing so rapidly.
Constantly.
So from your perspective, what are some of the skills that are going to be essential for people to really thrive in this new world of work?
That's the $1,000,000 question, right?
It is. It's like it's easy to get so caught up in the day-to-day of job hunting. We forget about like, where is this all headed?
Totally. I think adaptability is huge
Okay.
because technology is changing all the time. Industries are evolving.
Right.
The skills that are in demand today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Yeah, it's scary.
It is.
Yeah.
So being able to like learn new things quickly
Yeah.
and adapt to new situations, that's going to be huge.
So being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Embrace the chaos.
I can get behind that. What else?
I also think creativity is going to be more important than ever.
Okay.
Because yes, AI can automate certain tasks,
Right.
but it can't replicate that kind of like out-of-the-box,
Yeah.
innovative problem solving
Yeah.
that we do so well as humans.
And that's actually really encouraging to hear, because I think there's this fear that AI is just going to like make human creativity obsolete.
Yeah,
But what you're saying is it might actually make it even more valuable.
I think so. Because it's like that thing that we have that they don't.
That's cool.
So the ability to think critically, to connect seemingly totally random ideas
Yeah.
and come up with new solutions,
Yeah.
those are the skills that are going to set us apart.
Okay. So we've got adaptability, creativity, anything else? Any other skills that you see as being super essential for like navigating the future of work?
You know, for all this talk about AI and automation taking over the world, I still think good old-fashioned communication skills are going to be huge.
They're not going anywhere.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Like being able to articulate your ideas really clearly, being able to build relationships with your colleagues, collaborating effectively.
Yeah.
Those are things that are always going to be valuable.
It's timeless.
Totally. And honestly, probably even more important now in this world where everyone's so interconnected.
I love that you're bringing it back to that human element.
Always.
Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
technology can enhance our work for sure.
For sure.
But it's those human skills that really make us valuable.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Oh, this has been so fascinating, this whole deep dive into the world of RoleCatcher.
It's been fun, right?
So fun. And just like the future of job hunting in general.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground, from the very practical, like how to get your resume past the AI gatekeepers.
Yeah, AI, resume analysis, all that.
All of that, to the bigger picture of like, how do we thrive?
Yeah, how do we not lose our minds?
Exactly. In this crazy, constantly changing world of work.
How do we stay relevant?
Exactly. And to our listeners, we hope this has given you a lot to think about as you're on your own career journey.
Absolutely.
Remember, the job market can be a little bit of a roller coaster.
To say the least.
But with the right tools, a healthy dose of like knowing yourself, what you want,
Yeah.
and a commitment to always learning new things.
Learning and growing.
You got this.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy job hunting, everyone.